350 million years ago, long before dinosaurs roamed the Earth, the world was a scene straight out of a nightmare. Endless swamps stretched across the landscape, teeming with giant ferns towering like green walls under a sky choked by a heavy, sticky mist. The air was so saturated with oxygen that a single spark could have turned the entire world into a fiery inferno. And in this strange, primordial soup of life, something unimaginable was taking place. This was a world where insects and arthropods didn't just exist, they ruled with an iron fist, or rather, with massive claws and jaws. Centipedes longer than a car prowled the boggy ground, ready to pounce on anything that moved. Dragonflies the size of hawks hunted from above, while monstrous scorpions lurked in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Every corner of this world was a hunting ground, and you, if you found yourself there, how long do you think you'd last? This wasn't a planet for the weak. It was a brutal kingdom, a jungle where every creature fought for dominance, and where even the very air you breathed could turn against you. The Carboniferous was an era where life ran wild, creating monsters we can now only imagine in our darkest nightmares. In this forgotten time, Earth wasn't a home, it was a trap. If you were to step into the jungles of the Carboniferous, your first sensation would probably be dizziness, accompanied by blurry vision. This would be due to the excessive levels of oxygen in the atmosphere, about 35% of its composition, 1.5 times the current levels. Looking down, you'd notice your feet sinking slightly into the swampy ground, a hallmark of the humid environment of this period. But the real spectacle would be above you, in the sky. If you looked up, you might see something resembling birds in flight, but their wings would produce a loud buzzing sound and vibrations in the air. These were giant prehistoric butterflies known as Paleodictyoptera. The average wingspan of these creatures was around 40 centimeters, 16 inches, with some specimens reaching up to 55 centimeters, 22 inches, nearly 10 times the size of modern flying insects. Their name, which translates to ancient net wing, referred to the intricate patterns on their wings resembling a delicate mesh. In addition to their 2 standard pairs of vibrantly patterned wings, they had small projections near their heads, likely used as stabilizers during flight. Despite their size, the Paleodictyoptera were harmless herbivores, feeding on the nutrient-rich sap of plants. The same environment also hosted a lethal terrestrial predator that posed a deadly threat to anything crossing its path. This was the largest scorpion in Earth's history, Pulmonoscorpius curctonensis, which could grow up to 70 centimeters, 28 inches long. In comparison, the largest modern scorpion, the emperor scorpion, barely reaches 20 centimeters, 8 inches. The Pulmonoscorpius had a massive body covered in a chitinous exoskeleton, providing excellent protection against other predators. Its large pincers, equipped with sharp claws, allowed it to grab and hold its prey, while its curved tail, with a venomous stinger, delivered a lethal blow. This giant scorpion was an active predator that typically hunted smaller arthropods, mollusks, amphibians, and reptiles, both on land and in water. Its adaptation to aquatic environments allowed it to thrive as a predator in the ancient seas. And if you thought you could spot this dog-sized scorpion before it got to you, think again. It had no trouble detecting its prey. With 2 pairs of eyes, one central for spatial perception and another lateral for detecting light, along with possible sensory receptors across its body, the Pulmonoscorpius was a formidable creature. Returning to the skies of the Carboniferous, alongside the harmless prehistoric butterflies, there were also airborne predators. One of these predators would appear surprisingly familiar as its descendants exist today: dragonflies. However, these dragonflies were giants, more than 10 times the size of their modern relatives. The Meganeura, one of the largest flying insects of all time, had a wingspan of 65 to 70 centimeters, 26 to 28 inches, and a body that could measure up to 40 centimeters, 16 inches in length. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe. We have set the goal of reaching 10,000 subscribers before the first half of this year, and with your support, we can achieve it. Join this community and let's make this channel grow together. These enormous dragonflies rivaled modern peregrine falcons in size. Over 300 million years ago, these gigantic dragonflies were fierce aerial hunters and held the title of apex predators in the skies of the Carboniferous until the late Permian period, when the first gliding reptiles emerged. Their large compound eyes provided nearly 360-degree vision, making them highly effective hunters in the skies of that ancient world. The adaptations of the Carboniferous giant dragonflies allowed them to detect prey both above and below them. Additionally, their strong, spiny legs were designed to grab and hold prey, making them highly aggressive and dangerous predators. It is believed that their prey included, among other things, the massive butterflies mentioned earlier. Their adaptability to various environments enabled them to employ a dual hunting strategy. They could perch high up like sentinels to ambush their victims or actively pursue them in midair. These fast and agile predators excelled in precise aerial maneuvers, avoiding obstacles while chasing their targets. While the giant dragonflies faced little competition in the air, life on the ground posed challenges even for the formidable Pulmonoscorpius, especially when confronted with another colossal creature, Arthropleura. This titan, the largest millipede in history and simultaneously the largest terrestrial invertebrate ever to exist, was a terrifying sight due to its size and appearance. Smaller members of this genus reached lengths of 30 centimeters, while the largest specimens grew to an astonishing 2.6 meters long and weighed up to 50 kilograms. For comparison, the longest living millipede today, Archaeospirostreptus gigas, measures a mere 33 centimeters. The body of Arthropleura was composed of 30 armored segments, each up to 50 centimeters wide, with a pair of legs under each segment. Like many arthropods, Arthropleura periodically molted its exoskeleton. Each time it outgrew its protective layer, it developed a new, stronger one to replace it. It is believed to have possessed an extremely durable exoskeleton that shielded it from potential predators. However, such encounters were likely rare, as the Carboniferous period was not known for having an abundance of predators. Even the giant scorpions would have likely hesitated to attack a millipede several times their size. No fossilized remains of Arthropleura's head or mouth parts have been found, so the diet of the largest specimens remains uncertain. However, scientists speculate that these colossal creatures likely fed on decaying plant matter and seeds. It is possible that younger individuals were strictly herbivorous, while adults may have occasionally feasted on decaying meat or even small prey. The singularity of the Carboniferous jungles doesn't end there. Among the swamps lurked another predator, waiting for small reptiles and amphibians to cross its path. Though it resembled a large spider, it wasn't a true spider, but rather a distant relative known as Megarachne, a sizable sea scorpion. Its striking resemblance to spiders initially misled paleontologists, who, upon discovering its fossilized remains, named it Megarachne, meaning great spider. However, it later became evident that Megarachne was a large marine scorpion with a body length of up to 55 centimeters. The unique structure of Megarachne allowed it to feed using a method called sweep feeding. Equipped with paddle-like appendages, it scraped the soft ground in aquatic environments such as swamps and rivers, capturing and consuming small invertebrates like worms, insects, and smaller arthropods. Occasionally, it could hunt terrestrial prey like reptiles and amphibians, though these animals were likely faster and therefore harder for Megarachne to catch. This marine scorpion often hid in burrows or rivers, lying in wait for unsuspecting victims to stray too close to its lethal lair. In comparison to its ancestor Pterygotus, a giant sea scorpion that lived over 400 million years ago, Megarachne was less agile. Pterygotus was not only larger, with a length nearing 1.6 meters, but also more efficient as a predator. However, even Pterygotus seemed small next to the colossal Hibbertopterus, whose size could reach between 1.8 and 2 meters, establishing it as one of the heaviest arthropods of its kind. Even larger than these giants was Jacaloptera cirrus, which lived around 400 million years ago and measured between 2.3 and 2.6 meters long, making it one of the largest arthropods ever discovered. This colossal creature used its enormous pincers, which could measure about 40 centimeters, as its primary tools for hunting and defense, easily capable of crushing its prey. Despite the overwhelming presence of giant species, not all Carboniferous inhabitants were affected by the giant gene. Amid the dense, humid jungle, where enormous dragonflies filled the skies and giant scorpions prowled the swamps, there also existed tiny creatures, so small that you'd have difficulty spotting them beneath your feet. Known as trigonotarbids, these creatures can be considered the prototypes of the first spiders in history. The smallest members measured just a few millimeters, while the largest reached up to 5 centimeters. Trigonauterbids were the earliest terrestrial arachnids known to science, having appeared over 400 million years ago, long before the Carboniferous. They were fully adapted to breathing air and no longer depended on water for survival. Their appearance wasn't far from modern spiders. Their bodies were divided into a cephalothorax and a segmented abdomen, both covered in chitinous plates. Their legs also resembled those of contemporary spiders. Unlike modern spiders, Trigonauterbids, considered the first terrestrial spiders, couldn't spin webs. Their cephalothorax was protected by a carapace, earning them the nickname armored spiders. These tiny predators hunted soft-bodied invertebrates, such as worms, likely without the use of venom. Instead, they would trap their prey with their legs, holding it still while consuming it. It's also possible they fed on plants, similar to certain mites that bore a comparable appearance. The Carboniferous period was a proving ground for evolutionary experiments. Unique, often gigantic, and dangerous creatures dominated the air and land. However, one of evolution's most fascinating experiments unfolded underwater, with the emergence of creatures like Lepidocoleus. This worm lived approximately 400 million years ago in the shallow reefs of what is now Australia. Though it measured only a fraction of an inch in length, it earned the nickname Excalibur worm, inspired by the legendary sword of King Arthur. This nickname arose due to its impressive armor of overlapping calcite crystal plates that covered its entire body. Beneath this crystalline armor, the worm possessed a lightweight exoskeleton, much like how knights wore chainmail beneath their armor. Additionally, the worm could roll into a ball, protecting its vulnerable body parts, while the sharp edges of its armor jutted out, deterring predators. Few animals could harm it, as biting or swallowing a worm with such protection was nearly impossible. However, this nearly perfect defense came with significant costs. Its heavy armor limited mobility, making it difficult to search for food or migrate to new habitats. Combined with the mass extinction at the end of the Devonian period, this led to its disappearance without leaving notable descendants. Meanwhile, on land, amphibians began to diversify, and reptiles evolved into forms resembling modern lizards. These animals developed key traits, such as strong spines that allowed them to move and live entirely on land. Some amphibians grew to enormous sizes and became apex predators, reaching lengths of up to 6 meters and developing thick, scaly skin to prevent dehydration outside water. For the first time, amphibians began laying amniotic eggs capable of breathing air, allowing them to colonize areas far from water sources. The Carboniferous gave way to the Permian period, which began approximately 300 million years ago. During this time, all continents formed a single supercontinent called Pangaea. The first large animals, both herbivores and carnivores, appeared during this era. While some of these creatures might be mistaken for dinosaurs, they were more closely related to mammals and reptiles. One such animal was Diplocaulus, resembling a meter-long salamander with a boomerang-shaped head. Another iconic reptile was Dimetrodon, which measured about 5 meters long and had a large sail on its back, likely used for thermoregulation. During the Permian, mammals began to gain prominence. Among them were the gorgonopsids, bear-like creatures with specialized teeth adapted for different functions. These animals ranged in size from less than a kilogram to over a ton, with some being herbivores and others carnivores. A notable group was the therocephalians, which exhibited social behaviors and possibly hunted in packs. In the oceans, bony fish evolved alongside sharks, rays, sponges, and corals. On land, insects developed specialized mouthparts for piercing and sucking, further diversifying their ecological roles. However, approximately 252 million years ago, the Permian period came to an abrupt end due to a cataclysmic event known as the Great Dying. In 2001, scientists discovered evidence suggesting that an asteroid or comet measuring 6 to 12 kilometers, 4 to 7.5 miles in diameter struck the Earth. Helium and argon molecules trapped in specific proportions, only possible from extraterrestrial origins, were found as evidence of this impact. The collision released energy 1,000,000 times greater than the largest earthquake of the past century, marking the most devastating extinction event in Earth's history. In addition to the asteroid impact, Siberia and China experienced massive volcanic eruptions that blanketed the planet in ash clouds, blocking sunlight. Over the course of more than 1,000,000 years, 3 million cubic kilometers of lava were released. covering Earth with a layer up to 10 meters thick. This devastating double blow led to the extinction of 90% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial species. This event marked the end of the Permian period and the beginning of the Mesozoic era, which included the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods and spanned 186 million years. During the Triassic era, Earth was dominated by a single supercontinent called Pangaea, surrounded by a vast ocean named Panthalassa. The climate was predominantly arid and hot, with sprawling deserts. In this inhospitable environment, the first dinosaurs began to evolve during the mid to late Triassic. When we think of dinosaurs, we often imagine enormous creatures like Tyrannosaurus rex. However, recent research shows that dinosaurs and their relatives, the pterosaurs, evolved from extremely small ancestors. A discovery in Madagascar confirmed this theory. A newly identified species called Congonophaune kelly, nicknamed the tiny insect hunter. Living about 237 million years ago, this species stood only 10 centimeters tall and had worn teeth, indicating an insect-based diet. Its small size likely allowed it to avoid competition with larger relatives for food. Additionally, it is believed that feathers and other skin coverings seen in later dinosaurs first evolved in these small ancestors to shield them from the extreme Triassic climate. The Triassic marked the rise of reptiles, primarily archosaurs, ruling lizards, and therapsids, mammal-like reptiles. Archosaurs eventually gave rise to the first true dinosaurs, such as Eoraptor and Herrerasaurus, approximately 225 million years ago. These early dinosaurs split into two major groups, Saurischians and Ornithischians. Eoraptor, one of the earliest true dinosaurs, was a swift runner measuring just 91 centimeters long and weighing around 11 kilograms. Its long legs and sharp foreclaws made it well adapted for catching small prey. On the other hand, Herrerasaurus, a more advanced predator, featured a hinged lower jaw and a large head equipped with sharp teeth, ideal for tearing meat. Measuring between 3 and 6 meters in length, it was a formidable hunter for its time. Another early dinosaur, Staurikosaurus, stood out for its speed and teeth adapted for piercing and biting efficiently. As these early carnivorous dinosaurs began to dominate ecosystems, herbivores also emerged. For example, Pisanosaurus, a small dinosaur about 1 meter long, fed on plants using teeth arranged in a continuous edge, ideal for grinding vegetation. This balance between predators and herbivores marked a pivotal moment in dinosaur evolution by the end of the Triassic. During the Jurassic period, Earth's climate underwent a dramatic shift. The arid and hot conditions of the Triassic gave way to a more humid and subtropical environment. Forests began to spread, covering the land with ferns, cycads, and conifers. This lush green landscape provided an ideal habitat for dinosaurs to grow in size and diversity. The breakup of Pangaea into two main landmasses, Laurasia and Gondwana, also influenced the dispersion of these creatures across the globe. In the warm, life-rich Jurassic seas, marine reptiles like plesiosaurs with their long necks and paddle-shaped flippers dominated the oceans alongside giant crocodiles, sharks, and rays. In the skies, the first birds, such as Archaeopteryx, competed for aerial supremacy with pterosaurs, which had been soaring since the Triassic. On land, herbivorous dinosaurs began to reach colossal sizes. Brachiosaurus, for instance, could grow up to 16 meters tall and 26 meters long, while Diplodocus, even longer, stretched to 27 meters and weighed between 30 and 50 tons. These massive creatures likely deterred predators with their sheer size, though they weren't entirely safe. The ferocious Allosaurus, up to 12 meters long, was a formidable predator equipped with sharp teeth measuring up to 10 centimeters that were constantly replaced. This agile hunter could reach speeds of up to 34 kilometers per hour and didn't hesitate to attack dinosaurs like Stegosaurus. However, Stegosaurus fiercely defended itself with its spiked tail, capable of inflicting lethal wounds. The Cretaceous period saw the rise of even more imposing predators, such as the iconic Tyrannosaurus rex, which could reach 12.5 meters in length and weigh up to 10 tons. Although fearsome, it wasn't alone at the top of the food chain. Gigantosaurus from South America and Spinosaurus from Africa were equally colossal and vied for the title of the largest predators of their time. These giant carnivores epitomized the fierce evolutionary competition that defined the late Mesozoic, a period that solidified dinosaurs as Earth's undisputed rulers. Tyrannosaurus rex, one of the most formidable predators of the late Cretaceous, had a devastating bite estimated to exert between 1,500 and 5,000 pounds per square inch of pressure, enough to rip chunks of flesh weighing up to 225 kilograms. However, it wasn't just its strength that made it deadly. Its mouth was packed with tightly spaced teeth ideal for crushing meat. These teeth were often coated with bacteria from rotting flesh, giving its bite a septic effect that could cause fatal infections in its prey, although the process might take days or weeks. In many cases, another T-Rex would exploit these deaths to scavenge. Despite its dominance, T-Rex was not invincible. It shared its habitat with heavily armored herbivores like Triceratops, famous for its 3 imposing horns and a bony frill protecting its neck. Weighing up to 13 tons and measuring 9 meters in length, Triceratops was a formidable opponent. Its jaws featured over 800 teeth arranged in vertical columns, perfect for grinding tough vegetation. Another marvel of the late Cretaceous was Ankylosaurus, an armored dinosaur covered in bony plates and equipped with a tail ending in a club, ideal for fending off predators like T-Rex. This herbivore, the largest of its kind, lived until the very end of the period, exemplifying defensive adaptation. Meanwhile, hadrosaurs, or duck-billed dinosaurs, emerged as specialized herbivores. With durable beaks for grinding plants and social behaviors that allowed them to move in herds, they represented another evolutionary success of the period. Late Cretaceous sauropods also reached colossal sizes, with Argentinosaurus possibly being the largest terrestrial animal of all time, stretching up to 40 meters in length and weighing over 100 tons. In the final millions of years of the Cretaceous, peculiar lineages like pachycephalosaurs appeared, known for their thick skulls adorned with bony protrusions. These structures, aside from being defensive weapons, might have been used in combat between individuals of the same species. Dinosaurs demonstrated remarkable adaptability to a variety of environments, from warm regions to the cold polar zones. In these frigid areas, species like Nanoxaurus, a small feathered relative of T-Rex, faced dark winters and sub-zero temperatures. This discovery, along with evidence of feathered dinosaurs like oviraptors and small herbivores from the Cretaceous, reinforces the theory that feathers served not only for flight, but also for thermal insulation. Despite their mass extinction 66 million years ago, likely caused by an asteroid impact and its catastrophic aftermath, dinosaurs left an indelible legacy. For 165 million years, they reigned as Earth's most successful vertebrates. Their lineage survives today in the form of modern birds, the direct descendants of feathered dinosaurs. Alongside crocodiles, which share a common ancestor from that era, dinosaurs demonstrated that while they no longer rule the planet, their impact on evolution and Earth's biodiversity endures.